as a parent, the immediate thought should be, unfortunately, this isn't the way with everyone, but the immediate thought should be, how do I make as much money as possible so I can spend more time with my family down the road and
Yeah.
have the best life for my kids?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everyone has that thought, but it should be. So like, where is that defined? You know what I mean? Like, how do you manage that, and where do you go from there? Like, have you thought about that at all? We're back, episode 3, Dads Being Dudes. Let's go, baby. Today, our topic of discussion is going to be how to support your newly pregnant wife and the lessons we learned that I'm still learning through our pregnancy and that Weston learned throughout his wife's pregnancy. First, we're going to go into our shots, though. We're going to take a shot. I'm drinking tequila. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking my, what do I got here? Coffee and Templeton Rye again.
That's your second week in a row with a coffee past 4 o'clock.
I definitely need coffee today, dude.
It's shitty out. I don't know about where you are. We're like 35, 40 minutes away from each other. It's like the sun wants to poke through. It just can't quite make it out today.
Yeah, it's been like that all day. It sucks.
It's probably similar to like when you first go into labor. The baby wants to come out. You can maybe see the head just crowning, just like a little turd, you know? What do they call it?
Yeah.
Fuck, it's an animal, dude. When you got to take a shit and it's like right there.
Oh, prairie dog in it.
Prairie dog in it. Yeah, the sun's prairie dog in it today.
Yeah,
it just can't poke out.
Prairie dog and sun.
Can't poke out, dude. All right, let's take these shots.
Good analogy. Good analogy. Cheers.
Did you just take a shot of just Templeton Rye?
No, with coffee.
With the coffee. So you mixed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting combo. Not combo. I'm going to take one more. But then also, too, I tried, what's that drink you really like? Templeton Rye?
Yeah.
Is that what you're drinking now? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you said Tullamore for some reason. Templeton Rye.
Yeah.
Right? I had bought some the other day. Funny story. I had bought some the other day at the store when I made that like trip on like the $160 I spent. The Crown Royal's gone. So Crown Royal's out. The tequila's almost gone. So last night when I was watching the draft, I had a glass of the Templeton Rye. And I'm sitting there drinking it. And I take my first sip and I'm like, wow, kind of tastes like a little sweet. And then I kind of sit there, sip a little bit more. And then I finally said to Justine, I'm like, this kind of tastes like maple syrup. Like if maple syrup was an alcoholic beverage, that's what this tastes like right now. And then I go up to the counter where the bottle is. And she looks at the bottle and she's like, it's fucking maple syrup flavored, you idiot. I was like, I had no idea. She's like, you didn't look at the bottle before you bought it? And I was like, no, I kind of just blacked out when I went into that store that day and just picked up whatever I saw. And I just so happened I picked up maple syrup booze.
That's funny. I'll grab the bottle, show the viewers.
Right? Yeah. You have the same bottle?
Well, it don't say maple on it, but Templeton Rye, the good stuff.
Okay.
So good.
I don't know. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it wasn't Templeton Rye then.
I bet you might have gotten Crown Royal maple, dude.
No. It's definitely not Crown Royal. Knob Creek.
Oh, Knob Creek. Yeah.
You drink Knob Creek too?
Yeah, I got Knob Creek over there too. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's Knob Creek. So it's maple syrup Knob Creek.
Yeah, wow, that's true. Any maple whiskey's kind of gross. Unless you're drinking it like orange juice for breakfast.
Yeah. It was good, but like, I was gonna get a little buzz on. Justine was gonna go to bed early because I was watching the draft, so I was gonna get a little buzz on and then watch the draft. But like, it turned into one of those. I only wanted to take a sip every like 20 minutes because it was like not that good. Because I was just having it with rocks, I wasn't having it with anything. And
right.
It wasn't that good to take a sip every couple of minutes to get a little buzz. By the end of the night, I just dumped the last little bit out in the sink because I was like, I'm still fucking sober and I've had 2 glasses of this over the last 5 hours. So last sip before bed is going to do anything for me. Speaking of the draft though, so you didn't watch the draft, right? We were texting back and forth. You didn't watch it.
I do not watch the NFL drafts now.
Yeah. I'll be honest. They're pretty boring. I usually don't watch them either. and the Pats usually never have an exciting draft as well. So I typically don't watch them, but I had nothing else to do. I had just bought YouTube TV for the first time yesterday. I was excited to watch some sort of sports. It was kind of cool the way they did it. Did you see any recaps of like how they
I
did it?
haven't seen any highlights or anything. No.
It was all virtual. So Roger Goodell was in his home and he was leading the whole thing. Then they had all the players. They had 60 players. I assume they picked the 60 players they knew were likely to get drafted, at least in the first or second round or whatever it may have been. But obviously they're not going to select someone who might be drafted in like the sixth round to be on the show, right? So they had all the players out there on like the Zoom conferences like we're doing now with their families and stuff, which just sucks for those kids. Like, especially this year, it was in Vegas. It wasn't even in New York this year. For the longest time I can remember, it's always been in New York. I don't know if that's right or not, but it was in Vegas. Imagine being like, I felt bad for Joe Burrow. Like, Justine and I were watching it. He got drafted number 1. They go to the Zoom call. You see him get the phone call, and he's just sitting there with his mom and his dad, and that's it. And he's like, he looks excited, and they give each other a hug. He literally hugged like this. He just one arm over each of them, gave him a hug like that. That was it. And Justine was just like, wow, I feel like terrible for this kid. He's supposed to be like getting a huge ovation. Like, people are supposed to be going nuts for him. And then not only that, but imagine in Vegas, dude. Imagine you get drafted number 1 overall in Vegas.
Yeah.
You just become a millionaire. I mean, he's getting millions of dollars on that rookie contract, regardless of what happens. You're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Do the most partying you've ever wanted to do in your life. Live it up one last time before you like transition to your pro career and try and like be a professional and whatever it may be. But like, you would be in Vegas, and these kids just have that completely stripped away from them, which sucks.
Yeah, it would be a nightmare, dude. It's a great thing that they got drafted and whatnot, but dude, I could not imagine like, okay, dad, mom, pour up some drinks, like let's have a drink,
Yeah.
like
I'm sure they might have a drink, but like, you're not going out like you would on the Vegas Strip.
right. What are you gonna do? Like throw on the Xbox, throw on the headset. What's up, boys? Just got drafted.
Right.
Play some Fortnite.
And just imagine the rush that you would get, like walking down the strip. Everyone's gonna know who you are that night.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, well, there was a kid that got drafted from Maine. Was it last season or the season before? And he went out in the Old Port after he got drafted, and I guess everyone knew who he was. Walking around the Old Port in Portland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun. That'd be so much fun. But so one other thing I wanted to touch on about the draft. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see what Goodell did? He trolled himself or trolled the fans
No.
in the beginning of the draft. So they do like all their stuff for COVID and coronavirus. They do all their shout outs to the first responders, which was like pretty touching. It was pretty interesting to watch that. I really like the way they did it. Once all that was over, Roger Goodell's like, he's like, traditionally, this is where I would walk out on stage. And there's always a great tradition in the NFL where every time I walk out on stage, the fans just give me the greatest ovation. Because they always do them, So he had like this huge big screen. So like, say like me in the Zoom, say like back here, he had like a big screen TV. And there was a bunch of like, I don't know how they did it, like with like fans that were on there. It must have been pre-recorded where they gave people a chance to be on TV, and like they recorded it last week or something probably. But so all of a sudden he looks back to his TV and he's like, all right, fans, let me have it. And like there's like 30 Zoom conferences on the screen, and they're all just booing him and yelling.
No way, dude. That's sick.
And then
That's
Roger
cool.
Goodell's just looking at his TV and he's like, all right, come on, you can do better than that. Come on. Like, and it's just, that was kind of funny because I've never seen that guy have a personality in my entire life.
That's actually pretty cool, and pretty cool that he'd do something like that too. That like it's a joke, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know I'm gonna get booed. People don't like me, you know what I mean? And he's just like embracing it. Like, that's pretty cool.
You know what? I'd make $40 million a year for people not to like me.
Yeah.
I'll buy a phone if I want to.
That's wild.
Yeah. So that was that. That was kind of cool. One of the other things I think that's cool is like, as like a new dad, and as like you being a new dad, seeing these like crazy stories. There was one kid, his name was Javon Kinlaw, I think was his name. He was drafted 14th overall to the 49ers. He was homeless as a kid. That being like going from homeless to being drafted 14th overall, you're now a millionaire. Your life just changed in an instant.
Yeah.
That's insane. Seeing cool things like that. Like, I think like you have more of an appreciation for it as you get older and as you realize like, shit, that sucks to grow up like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're younger, it's a cool story. Like you see that on TV, maybe when you're in high school and you're like, oh, that's a cool story. But then like, that's probably it. When you're older, you're like, oh shit, I can only imagine like what his mom was going through or like what happened with his dad or like what was going on there, you know?
Right, yeah.
That was cool to see. He played at South Carolina. He went to the Niners. And then I stayed up fucking until like 11:15. The Pats were drafting 23rd overall. I stayed up all night long, which like all night long, that's not very late, but that's late for me now.
Yeah, that's late.
Dude, especially because I got up today too at like 6:30. So like that's kind of late for me to go to bed then. Stayed up all night. I look up at my TV. I forget who it was that picked before them. Maybe the Chargers, I think. I don't remember exactly. Someone picks before them and I'm like, all right, here we go. Pats, baby. Like, let's see what we get. And then it has that like that little ticker on the bottom that says like so-and-so is drafting now. And then it has who's next. And it says number 23, San Diego Chargers. Well, I'm like, no, it's supposed to be the Pats. The Pats are drafting right now. And then, I don't remember the team. I think it was the Chargers they traded with, but I might be getting that wrong right now. And I'm like, dude, I thought it was supposed to be the Pats. What's going on? And they didn't show, because I'm sure they have like pre-recorded stuff that they had to show during those times. And there was no reporters to like cut to live to say like, there was a trade that just happened. So like 2 minutes later, when the pick is finally in, they're like, oh, well, the Patriots traded away the pick. And now they are drafting 37th overall and 71st overall. And I'm like, dude, classic Bill Belichick.
I'm not big into the NFL or football, but like I'm sure anybody could answer my question. But when I heard that they had traded their pick away, in my head, my first thought was, well, why did they trade to go backwards? Like, why didn't they just pick whoever they're going to pick right then and there?
Dude, it's weird. There's like
you know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, no, I agree. But there's
Just
like
I go to the next line to get 2 picks where you can just,
so
you know?
Instead of getting 1 pick, they got 2 picks. And the way that it's there's like some guy who made like this calculator or something.
Oh, they got 2 picks out of it.
Yeah, they got 2 picks.
Oh, I thought they got 1. Like,
no, they got 2. They got the 31st and the 37th and the wow.
Oh,
37th and the 71st is what they got.
Okay, that makes more sense because I thought it was just 1, like you just traded spots.
No.
Well, why wait to pick the dude? Just pick him now.
Yeah. No. That would make no sense at all. But they got.
Okay, I got you. I didn't know it was 2 picks.
Yeah, and the way that it's like categorized, where like the 30s, what pick did they have? They had the 23rd pick. So the 23rd pick is ranked or like graded on a certain scale, and that was graded at like I think it was like 213.6 something points. And then every pick is rated at a certain point percentage. So pick 34 or 37 and 71 totaled the number for the first one, if that makes sense. So let's not even use their numbers. Let's break it down easier. Let's say pick number 23 was valued at 200 points and pick number 37 was valued at 150 points. And pick number 71 was valued at 50 points. That means them getting those 2 picks, 150 plus 50 is 200, equals the 23rd pick of 200. So
gotcha.
The value they're getting is the same value out of that. That's why they would do it. And so I think they did it because they have someone they want to draft, or they had people they wanted to draft, and they were wiped off the board. I think they got taken. And so their next down the line target, they knew they were going to slide to where they could trade to. So instead of just taking that pick at 23 and not getting anything else out of it, they knew they could maybe slide back down 15 spots and get another pick and get the guy they still want.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a mind game. It
is. It is.
Only Bill knows, I guess.
We could talk sports all day. That was way longer than we were going to talk about sports. Before this, we were like, let's talk about the draft for 2 minutes. I think it's like 15 minutes into it now.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're talking about today how to support your newly pregnant wife. I think the first thing with that is number 1 is understanding your emotions as well as her emotions. Understanding what her emotions are and trying to help her get through those emotions if you can. Most likely you can't. All you can probably do is listen to her. But are there certain things that you did with Hannah in the very beginning, like when she first told you that she was pregnant, in those next maybe 2 months? Because things change rapidly. Their bodies are going through this insane change. And things are just spiraling out of control, like literally inside of them. Like their guts are moving around, their stomach's moving up, and the baby's taking over where all the organs usually are. So their hormones are going through the roof. So is there anything that you did in particular that you can remember that like helped you, or not helped you, but helped Hannah
Not necessarily. I think Hannah had a pretty easy pregnancy. Well, I mean, pretty easy. I think she had an easy pregnancy. She wouldn't like get sick like you hear about people getting sick. She'd feel like stomach aches and stuff. No, it was really just kind of being there for her, being there with her. And we all know once the significant other is pregnant, you got a DD. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to. You kind of still have freedom. They don't. So they got to watch what they eat, what can't drink, what they can take. They can't just take ibuprofen because they have a headache, Coffee, they got to watch what they drink for coffee. And so I think what I did was just kind of be there for her. You know what I mean? Hey, if you don't want to go to this party, we don't have to. Let's not go, or let's stay home. She'd say, well, let's go. No, it's not worth it for you. So I think really it's just being there for her, being there with her through the whole process,
I agree. I think like there's not necessarily like anything you can really do for them. I think
what it comes down to, I guess, is back rubs and like foot rubs or whatever. But I mean, you can't use pregnancy as an excuse. I mean, I don't really do it a whole lot, but you can't use pregnancy as like an excuse for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There's not a lot you can do.
Yeah. There's not like much that you can do. You know what I mean? Like, cause they're the ones who are going through this crazy change. All you can literally do is listen to them.
Right.
Which is something I think all of us probably need to work on, myself included, is just listening. Because sometimes you can be so glued to your phone. This is something that happens to me all the time, and I'm trying to work on it. I'll just be on my phone, texting. Most of the time I'm texting you, and I'll be on my phone, and Justine's in the middle of talking, and then I'll look back up, and she's like, you have no idea what I said to you. Honestly, I have no fucking clue what you just said. Yep. And so even like last night before we watched the draft, I was making dinner. She was talking. I was on my phone, and I was making dinner. It's just a habit to pull my phone out of my pocket and check it. And we text back and forth almost nonstop every day. I think I was texting you and then or reading a text from you, and she was like, you have no idea what I said to you. And I was like, no, I don't. So I went over to the corner to the couch, like put my phone on the couch, walked back, didn't touch my phone until dinner was done. Even like, and then this afternoon during my lunch break from work, we watched a TV show. My phone was in my pocket, and I felt it vibrate a couple times, like right in a row. And I was like, oh, someone's texting me. I should grab it. And then I was like, no, don't touch it. Just watch this TV show. You don't need to check your phone right now. And then I vibrated again, like 10 minutes later, a couple times, like boom, boom, boom. And I was like, don't touch your phone. So I didn't touch it for like an hour, and it felt great. But like, those are the things you just need to do more of. And obviously I need to work on that. Everyone needs to work on that, because during this time, all you can really do is like listen to her. And you can't do that if you're on your phone.
That's 100% accurate. I agree 100%. Yeah. Hannah will just give me that look. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready. What were you saying? So yeah, listening's key. Yeah, cell phone down for sure.
Definitely. But I also think I think you matter to a certain degree. Like you don't matter all that much, because you're not the one with a growing human being inside of your stomach. But you definitely matter too. And I think it's important that you voice that, because yes, your wife is going through all these crazy changes. She's going through all these crazy emotions, but you also are going through a bunch of crazy emotions.
Right.
Like you have no idea what to do. You're going through all these happy, sad, emotional moments where you don't necessarily know like what's the right thing to do. Right. So I think there's a fine balance of it. And I think it comes down to both of you just communicating. Like we talk a lot on our Instagram page, plugging it real quick, @dads_being_dudes. We talk a lot on there about being supportive and just communicating with your spouse. I truly think just communicating with your spouse is the number one thing you can do.
Yeah.
Because I think when you do that, you leave no room for error. If it's bad communication or good communication, I posted something on there the other day that was saying, yell at each other. Sometimes it's good to just yell at each other.
Yeah.
That was because I posted that because the night before, Justine yelled at me. And it was great, like, because we don't get mad at each other. Like, we do get mad at each other, but it lasts for like 10 minutes. So I think it was something so dumb. I was just giving her shit about something so dumb. and she started screaming. And it was the first time she had ever screamed at me, ever. First time ever. And I do it all the time. I'll just tell her like, I'll get mad for like a quick like minute and like say something, but I don't yell. I just say it with a very sarcastic tone. And then so she started screaming, and I remember I was walking up the stairs, and I started cracking up. I was just dying laughing.
Oh yeah.
And because I know that she doesn't mean it. You know what I mean? Like I know that she's just mad at me in that moment. She's not. It's nothing to freak out about. Where like she's screaming. I knew I was wrong. I knew for a fact I was wrong. So that's why I was laughing too, because I was like, this is kind of funny. But like, I can't expect her to not have those emotions, especially with everything going on with her. And then when I'm being an asshole, no shit. Like those emotions are gonna come out. I think it just comes down to communicating overall. Because 10 minutes later, we were fine. I went back downstairs and I was like, that was funny. Like, you obviously freaked out. That was funny. But I posted that on our social media the next day. Like, just fucking yell at each other sometimes.
Yeah.
If you're mature enough to get over it within 10 minutes, like, which you should be as an adult, we're not in high school anymore. There's no need to stay mad at each other for a week and hold a grudge and ignore each other. You're an adult who's about to be raising a baby or is raising a baby. Like, you can yell at each other. I think sometimes it's good to let that out. And then 10 minutes later, be like, hey, I'm sorry. Honestly, I shouldn't have yelled. I just needed to get that out, but let's have a mature conversation around it now. You know?
Yeah.
You feel the same way?
Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah. When you said about like, as the dude, you kind of matter too.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing to do is, you know, if they get upset, get you upset. The hardest thing for you to do is like flip the switch. Be like, you know what? I really have no reason to be upset. Like, she's the one doing it all. You know what I mean? And even when the baby comes, it's the same thing. From pregnancy to when the baby comes, like, they do everything. They do the work. You know what I'm saying? They carry the baby. They have the baby. They, you know, if you're breastfeeding and doing all that. And so it's like, you know, it's kind of, you got to learn to flip the switch. And, you know, if you're getting mad at me, then I get upset. It's like, I have no reason to be upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think one thing that helps that is part of listening to her is just doing what she asks, because she's the one with a growing human being inside of her.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like the movie Alien or like something like that, like where they have a growing, I don't even know why it reminds me of the movie Alien. I think I just remember like, I don't even remember if it's the movie Alien.
I think you're thinking of Men in Black.
Yes. When they pop out of like the little shell, right? Or
I think that's the movie.
Yeah, it's not the shell, it's like the little placenta type of thing that they're in.
Yeah, it's gross, really, but
yeah, and they pop out of it. It reminds me of that. Like they have that inside of them.
Yeah,
that's pretty gross. If we're being honest.
Yeah,
disgusting.
Yeah,
but it's human nature. Like it's just the way that it works, you know.
Right.
But if we're all being honest, it's not like that's like, ooh, you have another human inside of you. That's sexy. Like that. It's just not true.
Yeah.
But you need to listen to her because she's the one having those crazy things happen to her, number one. But number two, you just need to be there for her because like we went out for a walk today and we were talking about this because she was asking me, literally this is how it happened, because we go back and forth all week long about what we're going to talk about on here for the week and different topics and discussions and things of that sort. One of the topics that came up for us was listening to her. One of the notes that I wrote down for that was talk about the baby when she wants to talk about the baby. That's number one, obviously. But number two was like feel the kicks when she wants to feel the kicks. Number three was call it a name if she wants to call it a name. And those things are things that I could really give a fuck less about.
So that's exactly what we went through too. You're right. You know, like I already felt the baby kick last, couple days ago or last week. Like I understand what it feels like. You know, it's kind of, I'm a squirmish dude. You know what I mean? So like to me, it's like, ooh, like cool. I get it. And calling it by the name or whatever, it's same exact thing. But yes, something you need to do.
Yeah. Yes.
You got to do it. You just have to do it. You know, you have to enjoy doing it. Really, like, why do I not want to feel the baby kick? Like that's a pretty big step. Like obviously as time goes on, it's like almost like they're not constantly kicking, but they're kicking a lot more. And it's like, all right, you asked me 30 minutes ago to feel the kick, and an hour before that, like, I get it. But, you know, if you have one baby, that's the only kicking you're going to feel for the rest of your life. So
That's a good way to put it. And we had that same conversation today on our walk because she was asking me, what are you guys talking about today? I listed it off. And I said, because this was the first time I actually even said this to her, but I said, honestly, like, whenever you asked me to feel, I was going through the topics and I said, this is one of the topics. And the reason why is because whenever you ask me to feel the baby and feel like kick, it's kind of annoying. I don't want to do it.
yeah,
I don't think it's that cool. But at the end of the day, like, I do think it's cool. I 100% think it's cool. It's just that she did it so much at first where she could feel the baby kick because it's inside of her. And I told her this. I was like, the baby is inside of you. That is crazy. So I understand why to you it's so important for me to feel that, because you literally have something kicking your guts and your intestines and kicking them, and you can feel it. And that's crazy. But for me to feel that and just put my hand over your belly and feel a little boom, it's not that cool. Like, the first time I ever felt it, I think I was the happiest I've ever been. I thought it was.
yeah.
I remember we were laying in bed one morning, and I was still half asleep, and she was like, "Put your hand on my belly. He's kicking. He's awake." And I was like, "Here we go again," because she had asked me to do it 20 times before that, and I could never feel it. So I put my hand on her belly, and then I feel like a boom, just like a strong kick.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh my God, no way!" And
Yeah.
it was awesome. It was so cool. And so, like, now, like, whenever she asks me to do it, I obviously do it and I feel it and I think it's awesome. But it's not as awesome for us as it is for them.
Well, if you think about it like in these terms too, where it's like, like muscle spasms when like you can feel like the pulse.
Oh, yeah.
Like, think about that. So think about that times 10, and you feel this pulse in your arm, and you're like, babe, you got to feel this. Like, come feel this. Like, think about that. Like, that's just a muscle spasm. Like, if you had a baby growing inside of you, like feeling him kick around all day and be like, say you feel him kick 20 times a day, and I'm at work and she's at work, and then there's one time where we meet up during the day and she's like, you have to feel this. You know what I mean? Like, think about putting yourself in their shoes. Like, I would do the same thing. Like, you have to feel this. This is crazy. But for us, it's like, Jesus, I felt it yesterday. Like, how different can it be? Like, I get it, But yeah, it's something you got to do.
I agree. I think do it though, because it's definitely worth it.
Right. Exactly.
Same thing with calling it a name.
Yeah.
We have, we're not telling anyone the name because you know how that gets when you tell someone the name and then they go, oh, that name sucks or something like that. Like,
oh yeah,
it's not worth doing that. So we're not telling anyone the name. And what if the baby comes out and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? It's not a John, it's a Bob. So who knows? So that's another thing too. We started last week was calling it a name. I didn't necessarily like want to do it, but the thing is I'm glad we did it because we have 3 names picked out. One of them is kind of like, that's kind of on the back burner now. The other 2 are the front runners. But so last week we called it one name, which was my favorite name. So she was like, hey, let's start calling it that name for this, like for the future, and let's see how we like it. So she started left and right, boom, boom, boom. I'm not saying the name, but let's say it was Jack. She's, oh my God, I can feel Jack. Oh my God, Jack. And all of a sudden, like last night we were laying in bed, or maybe 2 nights ago. And I was like, honestly, can we stop calling it that? Like, that was my favorite name. And now I don't really like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it because I don't know if it's because the baby just isn't here yet, or if because I'm just annoyed with hearing you say it, but I was saying it too because I was trying to go with the whole flow of that. But I was like, maybe I don't like that name. I don't know. I was like, you know what? Let's test it. Let's see if maybe I just don't like calling the baby a name before it's here. Let's go with our number 2 name for the next week and see what happens. So I'm still doing it though. Like I've already said the second name 3 or 4 times today. So I'm still doing it. And I think that's very important to stay connected with your wife, because that's a good form of not communication, but that's a good form of just staying connected and being on the same page,
Yeah. Just listening to you say that makes me think, you should also try just calling it a nickname. Come up with nicknames off of that name. You know what I mean? So, because
Yeah.
Oliver's been born for, yesterday was 9 weeks. And I could probably count on my hands how many times I've called him Oliver in 9 weeks. You know what I mean? It's always Big O or Ollie or Yogi. Like, I'm just calling him nicknames off Oliver. You know what I mean? Like, and Oliver's a weird, like, not a weird word, but like, it's one of those words where it kind of rolls off the tongue a little weird. So I love the name. She loves the name. But I just find myself calling him nicknames off of Oliver.
Yeah.
So maybe if you try that, you know what I mean? So say it's Jimmy, you know, calling him Jim, calling him J Bones, calling him J Money, J, you know.
Hey, J Bones, what up?
But you know what I'm saying. Honestly, I kind of do that too, but
Yeah. No, I can only imagine what I'm gonna call this kid when he gets here.
because honestly, that's the thing. Once he gets here, you're probably, no matter what his name is, like, you know, you might not call him the name. So that's an idea. That's an idea for you.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip because I definitely agree. The two names we have, I love both names,
Yeah.
but they're definitely nickname names.
Well, you're gonna need nicknames. So
Yeah, both of them. Like both of them have that shortened name where no one would ever actually call them their full name.
Yeah.
Unless I was like my mother, which is another good tip. If you want to stand your ground, you stand your goddamn ground with your kid's name. My name is Michael. You will never catch one of our friends calling me Mike. Ever. My mom would slap the shit out of you if you called me Mike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Growing up our whole life, she would literally smack you if you called me Mike in her presence.
Dude, I used to do it just to fuck with her.
Yeah.
And she would honestly get mad. She would like get mad at me, like wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, Randy, I was just joking. You know his name's Michael. Like, I know, I was just joking, Randy. Like, she'd get mad.
Yep.
So you're right. You got to stand your ground.
And you know what's so funny that I've never really thought of? My brother's name is Joshua.
Yeah.
Everyone calls him Josh, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Right. Joshy.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. Right.
No sense. Mom, when you watch this, I want you to please explain that to me.
Yes.
This makes no sense at all. Another thing I think is very important, and this is something that we've talked about, is just work-life balance. Like, how do you manage? We went back and forth on this yesterday through text a little bit of like, how do you manage work-life balance, and where do you define where work ends and life, I guess life starts, but that's a shitty way to say it. Where do you define where making too much money or putting too much of a focus on money is becoming an issue? Because I think there's a fine line with that, because as a parent, the immediate thought should be, unfortunately this isn't the way with everyone, but the immediate thought should be, how do I make as much money as possible so I can spend more time with my family down the road?
Yeah.
Have the best life for my kids. Unfortunately, not everyone has that thought, but it should be. So like, where is that defined? You know what I mean? Like, how do you manage that, and where do you go from there? Like, have you thought about that at all?
Well, I think it all comes down to what you do for work and how much money you make for work. So if if you got minimum wage jobs, you're going to have to work a lot more in order to, because you still have to eat. You still need a roof over your heads. You still need a vehicle to get to and from work. So I think it all starts there. You know what I mean? And I think if you have the freedom to enjoy your kid's life, then maybe you can say, okay, I'll work 4 days a week. Maybe I'll work 30 hours a week. Maybe I'll work a couple half days. But for some people, they can't do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think what it comes down to is, I guess, starting out with the money wise. If you don't make enough money to pay your bills and have food, then you're kind of screwed. You have no option. You have to go to work.
Yeah. That's, I think, is like the biggest thing is like, for me, honestly, I am just, this might not be politically correct. It might trigger some people to be honest, I don't really give a fuck. I think that if you're born into a certain situation where, and I get it, people have different opportunities. I am not naive to that fact whatsoever. But I do think no matter what opportunity you're born into, you can make the best out of either one. If you're born poor and born into a family that really doesn't have much, might have been homeless like that draft pick we talked about earlier, you can make the best out of that, like he did, right?
Yeah.
He even said it last night because they interviewed him. He said, I played football in high school, went to South Carolina. He said he didn't realize it until his freshman year at South Carolina, where he said, I finally realized my freshman year that football is my way out. He said I never looked at it as a way out before. I just looked at it as a fun hobby. And then I looked at it as, oh, cool, I'm getting a scholarship to play at USC. That's awesome. Maybe I'll go get a college degree. But he never looked at it as a way to escape poverty. He just looked at it as a way to play football. And so he said his freshman year, he finally realized this could be my out. I can make millions of dollars for my family if I just put my nose to the grindstone and go hard, right? And not that everyone can be a professional athlete and have that opportunity. Not everyone's built with the body of a defensive lineman, you know?
Right.
But
Right.
that's someone who had a shitty situation, controlled his outcome. He obviously worked hard to get there, even in high school, even if he doesn't realize it. He worked harder than most people to get there. You don't just get offers to go to D1 for no reason. So he worked hard to get there. Then he got there and realized, shit, I can't fuck this up. So he took control of the opportunity and succeeded, and now he's gonna be a millionaire. Overnight, his whole life changed, you know? But not really overnight because he's been practicing for so long. But in that, metaphorically, in that one night on draft night, his whole life changed. So I feel like there's a lot of people out there who feel like they have it bad or they don't have it well enough to succeed in life. I think it's bullshit. I think anyone can succeed in life. To what level, that depends on who you are, where you are, what your job is, what your experience is. But I think you can definitely succeed. And I think success doesn't even come down to just money. I think it comes down to pure happiness just in general.
Right.
But money helps buy happiness. If we're being
right. And I think that's the thing. It's to give you a prime example, I know somebody who owns a barber shop, and one of my good buddies worked there one time. He said that 2 people got divorced from working there just because they worked too hard. I guess that's what it comes down to is, is money more important than family? Or do you need that money to have a happy family? So I don't know. That's a hard question to answer, I think, dude.
Yeah, I agree. Because like you said, do you go chase money because of the fact you want to provide for your family? And is that money enough, like you just said? Or do you chase more money because that makes your family happier? You know?
Right.
I think there's a fine line. I think there's a fine line in both of those, but I do think, I personally do think making the most money helps to a certain age, though, because when I was younger, I was raised by nannies and a second family. My parents were grinding all the time at their business, which I think is what led to their divorce, which led to my brother and I not having a dad for however many years, right? Not that it was, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't know whose fault it was, my mom's, my dad's, whoever's fault it was, don't give a shit. It just led to a certain outcome, right? Now we have a great relationship, but I think it was because of their business that led them to just drive such separate ways because they were so focused on business. But we had a great childhood because we had all this different stuff. So we had all the toys we wanted to. We were spoiled as shit. And then all of a sudden, transitioned to like 10 years later, my mom's now sold all her properties, lives in a condo with my brother while he's taking care of her, and she's super sick. So like, what was the sacrifice there? You know?
Right.
What point did she maybe go overboard on the work and overboard on like the personal things? Nose to the grindstone, just work, providing a great life for us.
Right.
That led to us having some fun fucking times when we were kids because there was never in my house.
Right.
You and me together put out cigarettes on our goddamn hands. They weren't even cigarettes. They were blacks.
Yeah, they like mini cigars. Yeah, clove cigarettes and stuff. Yeah.
So I think there's a fine line between it all, but I think you do need to provide a certain lifestyle because I think we had a great childhood.
Well, yeah, 100%, without a doubt.
So I think there's definitely a fine line, but I think you need to grind to wrap it all up. I think the best case scenario would be to grind from the time your kid is zero. Before, I've been trying to work hard for the last couple of years, even in preparation for having a family, without even knowing we were planning for a kid. So I
Yeah.
think grind from negative 2, 3, 4, 5 years out from having a kid, all the way until your kid is like 5. I think at 5 they probably start to have some memories, because I don't remember a damn thing from that age. But I think at 5, most people probably start to have some memories, and that's where the real lessons of having your father around is super important.
Right.
So
Yep.
try to make as much money as you can from those 0 or negative ages to 5, and then be smart with that money. Invest it in the stock market. Invest
Right.
in properties. Do certain things. We're not financial advisors, but ask whoever in your life is financially well off. Take advice from people you want to live their lifestyle. If you want to live someone's lifestyle, take advice from them. Don't take advice from people who don't have the lifestyle you want to live.
Right.
So if you can set yourself up for success by the time they're 5 years old, you'll be able to hang out with them, do whatever you want. Obviously, you still have to work, but you'll be able to work when you want and live your normal life with your kids and be there for
Yeah.
them, you know?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you're right.
So I think that's super important. But do you have anything else to share? I think that kind of wraps up like what I wanted to talk about. But do you have anything else to share?
No, I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
No? Cool. Cool. So that's a wrap then.
Cool.
Dad's out.
Dad's out. Peace.
Cheers. Oh, we always end it with a cheers. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, brother.